It's Tammy Hajjar Miller at the Federal Savings Bank. I'm so excited to start 2022 with this new series. Let's talk about, and today's topic is condos. So man, there was no better person that I could bring on to share the great information. We're going to talk maybe about 15 minutes, nothing crazy, because otherwise we're going to stop listening anyway. But I'm bringing on one of my faves. Awesome dude, total expert, been doing this for almost a decade. He knows his stuff. All right, Joe A, give a little bit of a wave.
Thanks for having me. Excited to talk condos, co-ops.
Pleasure is ours. And so we're going to go over two big things today, right? We're going to talk about differences in property types when it comes to, just kind of like from a condominium perspective, right? Let's kind of back up a little bit, talk about differences in property types. Then we're going to dive into condominiums, and we're going to then talk about financing and what's really important and how do we kind of like the three main buckets of financing when it comes to condos and what we need to watch out for. All right, so that's what we're going to cover today. So Joe, let's kind of talk about, the difference in property types. I have a little bit of a picture here. I love this picture because, man, that's a townhome, right? That's not a condo. But what's your kind of take on this?
So I hear that a lot. It's a townhome. Don't worry about condo docs. It's a townhome. So that is a big myth. The townhouses are not legal property types. It is either a condo or a PUD, which is a planned unit development. That will determine what kind of project docs are needed. PUDs do not require as many documents as a condo would, so it is important to know the right property type as early as possible.
Right? So, but it's attached, man. It looks like it's a townhome, and
right.
You hit it spot on. And it's really getting the detail we need, right? Like the mortgage professional, get us that detail. Whether you're a realtor or consumer, we're here to help to make sure we're looking at the right things when it comes to buying your home. So I thought I had this picture up. I didn't have it up. So now I have it up. So let's talk now, kind of like, I think you mentioned co-ops like really early. So condo or co-op, I mean, they're all like vertical markets, but what's the difference?
So difference between a condo and a co-op is that in a condo unit, you actually own your unit, but in a co-op project, you own shares in the corporation, and then you have a proprietary lease that grants you the rights to occupy the unit, but you don't actually own the actual shares in the corporation.
Okay, I see. So corporation, I love that. Thank you for that detail. That was awesome. All right, so now let's talk about the variety of programs, right? So when it comes to financing, you and I as consumers, we hear these like names in the media, right? And when we're talking to our realtors, our friends, and those in the industry, and we hear Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and FHA and VA, like, oh my gosh, like who are all these people and what do all those acronyms stand for? And how do we kind of figure out which condo should fall in which bucket, right? Because again, like three main buckets. So let's start with, I think a very common first-time home buyer program is FHA, Federal Housing Administration. And that's a government product along with VA, another government product. And I hate to say it, but Joe, don't you feel like there's this like stigma that it's hard to finance in those two kind of areas?
I do see that a lot, and I think it has to do with having VA and FHA require the project to be approved ahead of time, whereas conventional loans, there is no approved list. They leave that up to the lender to determine. Whereas FHA and VA, they do require a project approval ahead of time. Okay.
So what type of like things, if I'm buying a condominium and I want to see, FHA, VA, and, Fannie Freddie, right, which is conventional. Same a veteran. So I have the option for all three of them. What type of documents should I be interested in reviewing from the condominium building?
Sure. So we always get a condo questionnaire completed for all the different loan types.
Usually what does this questionnaire have on it? Like what kind of questions?
It will ask about the occupancy, how many units are owner occupied, how many are currently being rented, how many units does one person or entity own. FHA and conventional are going to have different guidelines when it comes to that. How much commercial space is in the project? Is the project involved in any litigation? Those are a lot of the big ticket items that we're looking at on the questionnaire, along with several other items.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a ton on there, but I was just thinking about that is if I'm buying in this condominium, because I don't own the whole building, right? I definitely have interest in the other unit owners. I want to know these things, right? Is there a litigation against the association? Are other unit owners paying their association dues? What else is going on in the minutes, right? What are you talking about? Is there a special assessment coming up, right? Those are definitely things that I think when you're initially looking, sometimes we don't even know what questions to ask. So those are great questions to ask. And you would ask not just for this condo questionnaire, what else are we going to ask for?
Yeah, you brought up a great point with the budget, the meeting minutes. We're going to require the budget on most files as well. We're looking to make sure that they are contributing to the reserve account and making sure that they are putting away money for any future repairs. That is very important as well.
Yeah.
And then as a prospective buyer, you'll want to look at that as well and also find out how much they have in their reserve account currently. And that will tell you a lot as far as the financial stability of the project. If they have a low reserve account, you may expect in the future they might have some special assessments. Those are all things you want to worry.
The special assessment thing. So what is a special assessment?
So every project is going to have your normal monthly assessments that's established every year. It might change from year to year depending on expected expenses, but that is going to be a monthly expense to every unit owner. Okay. But special assessment is when something happens. They need a new roof, they need tuck pointing work, and if they don't have enough money in the reserve account, then they have to hit up all the unit owners for a special assessment, which is on top of their normal monthly assessment fee.
Yeah. Okay. So the importance of having that association, really set up well, right? And understanding what's going on, because now you're buying into a shared ownership. I love it. All right.
I've seen special assessments cost a couple $100 all the way up to $40,000. So it could be costly. So
yeah.
They're good things to look at ahead of time.
We're not talking about the 40,000, but,
no,
but we don't, we want to know about that, right? There's going to be some stuff in the board minutes and everything. Okay. I don't want to get into too much of that, but I was just kind of curious, you hear this, like what's a special assessment versus a traditional assessment, right? Homeowners assessment. So I love that. Thank you.
Good.
So let's talk about if we're looking at FHA financing. So now I'm looking at the 3 buckets and I've identified I would like FHA financing. How do I determine what properties to look at? Is there, there's this list, right? So maybe we should walk everyone through this list. Where do we
Let's pull up the list.
Let's pull up this list. Let me share my screen again. I'm going to show you this list. All right.
FHA has an approved list where we can go on, search by the city, search by the zip code. You can narrow it down as much as you want.
All right. So let's pull up a zip code. So I identified the zip code, Chicago zip code, like South Loop, right? 60607. So I'm really here's the website, but all I'm putting in is a zip code. Right?
Correct. That's the best way. Yeah. You can put in the condo name, but sometimes it will limit the search. So as long as you know the zip code, that's right.
Have the full condo name. All right. Wow. All right. Look at this spreadsheet. So what am I looking at? I mean, I see the condo name. All right. That's the association name, some sort of ID number. Here's their address, the county. What is HRAP, man? What is that? There's different stuff here, right?
Yeah, HRAP is an approval that was approved by HUD, and a DELRAP is an approval done by the lender.
Ah, okay, awesome. So this one's done by the Housing of Urban Development, awesome, by HUD. Correct. And then it says there's 150 units, and here's some sort of another number, identifying number. And oh, I like this. All right, FHA concentration. This seems like it would be important, right? Because we can't have too many FHA units in the whole building, but only
Correct.
0.66. And I like this. I can go buy in here as an FHA buyer. It's approved when it was submitted and when it expires. That's really cool. Okay, so let's talk about these status levels. So I have approved, I have rejected here. That seems obvious, right? It says rejected, missing documents or incomplete package submission.
And you could even
And-
click, there's
Yeah.
a comments column and it shows exists. So that will actually tell you why it was rejected too.
Oh, look at that.
Tells you
Okay,
when, tells you why.
look at that. That's awesome. Back in 2012. Wow. All right. Okay, that's good to know. And then I approved expired. So it just means that this approval is expired, right? Still small. So we could go back at it with 1001 West Madison.
Right.
Let's see what other categories are here. So do I have to get the whole building approved?
So you no longer have to get the entire building approved. HUD recently brought back FHA single unit approvals, AKA
This one.
spot approvals.
Yeah, so we found one. So this is interesting, right? So it says rejected, but registered single unit. So we don't have a full, right? HUD did not approve the full building. So the building is not fully approved, but single unit approval. I like that, restricted to 10%. Look at that, only 0.55. That's really cool.
Exactly.
933 West Van Buren. Hey, that's right by the Chicago Board of Trade. I like that. That's West Loop. This is West Loop. Look at this. West Loop 60607. I think I said
Yeah,
so.
so if you ever want to pursue a single unit approval, definitely start here and look at the FHA concentration there. If it's above 10%, they will not issue any more case numbers. And then we have to submit to HUD for them to review it.
Nice. Okay. Okay.
And they'll
that's
go up to 50% FHA concentration.
up to 50. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm interested in VA, right? So let's talk about VA. So VA financing, right, is for veterans. And how much of a down payment do we need for veterans?
Zero.
Zero.
Oh, me.
Zero. Thank you for serving our country. We have so many things to thank you for, right? As a veteran, you keep our rights here, our freedom here. We so appreciate you. One of the financing programs we can show that appreciation is through the Veterans Administration, right? So VA financing, 0% down and no private mortgage insurance, no PMI, which is fantastic. Now, a little different of a process though. So say I'm a veteran, I want to look at VA financing. FHA, by the way, their down payment is 3.5%. All right, if I neglected to say that. So VA financing, 0 down, no mortgage insurance, but a little different of a process, right?
Correct. Yeah. So similar with FHA, they do require the building to be approved. They do have a approved condo list as well that we can pull up and show them how to do that as well.
So let's pull this up. But like, I think again, stigma was really weird around VA, super hard, but not hard. Not hard at all.
No, and it's gotten easier over the years.
Love
Probably the easiest approval to get at this point.
I love it. I love it. So even though we have to get the whole building approved, isn't there some sort of an exception? We should come back to that. Let's look at this. Let's look at how to search this, but I want to come back to that. So, all right. So here's the website, Chicago. I'm going to pick, which is Illinois.
Great.
And I hit submit. Boom. And oh my gosh, look at that. 1,735 in Chicago, because I hear all the time, Tammy, there's no VA approved buildings in Chicago. And that is not the case. So it looks like, you know, if we hit this, okay, this one does not qualify, right? 100 East Huron. This one was rejected. And we're going to come back to how we do it, you know, and it's super easy. But I think this next one, right? Accepted without conditions. Look at that, 100 North Paulina condominiums, which is 1100 North Paulina. That building is approved, right?
And VA approvals never expire as well. So even if it
Never
was approved
expire.
20 years ago, if it still says accepted without conditions, keep it moving. We're still
Love
approved.
that. But 1,735, that's a lot of properties. I love that. So many options there. But so let's talk about, say, you know, that one, right? on Madison, it said it was our 100 East Huron, I think it was, right? So that one said rejected. So if I'm a veteran, I really want to buy in that building. What does that mean to me now? I can't use my VA benefits in that building?
So beforehand, pretty much, yeah, you wouldn't be able to get VA financing unless the project was VA approved. Depending on why they rejected it, there are some ways to resolve the issue, but usually it ends up requiring the HOA to record an amendment and update their legal docs, which has been not easy. It's not an easy ask to ask the HOA to do that. Yep. But luckily now VA has come out with a waiver exception process. So even if they reject the entire building for a leasing restriction or right of first refusal, they've realized that those rules aren't really affecting certain veterans that are already in the building or want to purchase into the building. And so they have been granting waiver exceptions when the veteran is okay with that issue and acknowledge it. And we've gotten quite a few waiver exceptions. Yeah.
So you're telling me there's a chance,
right?
I mean, that's what this is. All right. I love that. A little flashback to some Dumb and Dumber. I mean, maybe not everybody recognizes that flashback, but I'm seasoning over here, right? In age. So, all right. So then let's talk about the last one, the last bucket. Conventional financing, right, on the non-government side of the financing fence. So, and we hear a lot as consumers, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, right? So what should I look out? I'm going to pull up, I think I have a little cheat sheet for us, right? So what should I be looking out for on Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, this conventional financing?
Sure. So conventional is a little different than FHA and VA. There is no blanket approval list anywhere. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac both leave it up to the lender to determine conventional eligibility. And that's going to be based on the questionnaire and the budget and the insurance and some of the other docs I mentioned earlier. But some of the major guidelines for those two agencies, like I mentioned, the single entity ownership, that is how many units one person or one entity company owns. Fannie allows up to 20% and Freddie allows up to 25%. They both allow up to 35% commercial space. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. So like all these numbers, and I think it's like, I think what's happening is like, there's so much, right? Like, what does all of this mean? And as a consumer can be like, okay, that seems a little overwhelming, but I just want to bring up, that's what your mortgage professional is for, right? Ask the questions like, here's, some condominiums. Do I have anything to be concerned about? So it sounds like I need to make sure that one person doesn't own too much. And I kind of need to know those thresholds. I also need to make sure that, that there's not too much commercial space, right? Because we're in a vertical market, so that the commercial space can't have too much of the square footage in the building, right? And then I think we talked about it earlier, like getting this condo questionnaire. And so give me an example though, like, do you have a recent story about some conventional financing that you want to share with us, like a good success story or a good story that would relate to many of our homeowners?
Just trying to think. One of the main misconceptions out there has to do with the rental concentration. And if a building has too many renters, a lot of times people think that financing isn't available. And I'd like to make sure everybody understands that for Fannie and Freddie, if you're buying a primary or a second home, the rental concentration does not matter. It's only if you're buying an investment property.
Okay. So if I, as a consumer, want to live in this building and there's 20 units in this building, but 15 of them are investors, but I love this building, right? And I want to live there. Did I hear you right? It doesn't matter that it's 15 out of 20 are investors. Because I'm going to live here, I have no problem using Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac financing. And depending upon, my finances and everything, I can do between 3 and 5% as the minimum down payment.
That is correct.
I love
no
that.
max.
No max. I love that. And, for the realtors out there, I think that's a question they have when they're listing the home, right? For
Right.
their sellers. Like, what does the buyer pool look like? And they need to understand that difference. Well, if it's a primary or second home, there is no investor cap. But if it's an investment property, this is where we get into warrantable and non-warrantable, right?
Sure.
It's non-warrantable against Fannie and Freddie guidelines. So we
if it's over, if the rental concentration is over 50%, and if the LTV is above 75%. So if a down payment of 25% or less, then it would be an issue. But if it's 25% or more, we don't care how many are being rented.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
Always a chance.
Investor, I love it. Okay.
Right.
Well, Joe, man, I am just tickled pink that you spent this time with me. I think we've been, probably that we're recording this, I don't know, maybe about 20 minutes. Learned a ton here, and there's so many different scenarios, right? I mean, I've loved working with you for quite a few years now, and you are the condo king for sure. And thank you for sharing this knowledge. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of other follow-up questions, and we'll, I'll put it in the detail. Yeah, that we'll share this information. I just am truly grateful to you. Thank you so much.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
2022, right? The year of you. I love it.
That's right. Good luck, everyone, in 2022.
All right. Talk to you soon.